Hello and welcome to Bujobug. Today I'm showing you my June setup. For me, June was exam month, so that's basically the entire motivator behind all of the decisions in this theme. So this setup is a little bit unusual compared to my other setups. First thing is I didn't really have a theme for this month. I just picked these three colors, the gray, the lighter blue, and then the dark blue. And I used those throughout all of the pages in this setup. The reason I didn't really have a main theme is because originally I did have a theme in mind, but then doing a few tests kind of revealed to me that theme was going to take a long time, and once again I have exams, so I didn't really have time to do that. So I kind of last minute came up with this kind of blob theme, and I think it looked good. I think this month was more than any other time was about being practical, and I think I really achieved that because, as you can tell, it's already over halfway through June, and I'm posting this setup now, and that's once again because exams. So I've already used this setup a lot of times, and I can tell you most of the decisions I made I'm really glad with. So this is the cover page. It's really simple. I just kind of freehanded these blobs, and then for the quote I chose this I was inspired by the retro themes I've been seeing all over and kind of filling up the entire circle. The quote I chose is "Focus on the step in front of you, not the whole staircase," which is something that really applies to exams. It's really easy to get caught up in all the stress of exams, and that you kind of forget to just focus on your next one, and we'll see what happens after that. But yeah, did the quote help? I don't know. I have yet to receive my results, so it could go either way. This is my calendar spread. I don't use it a lot personally, but I still think it's helpful to have in my journal to have an oversight of everything that's happening and to just have a top-down view of everything that's happening in the month. It's also especially helpful because I start my weeklies with the weekend, so on Saturday, which can get kind of confusing if you're trying to plan your week. So that's why I have this spread, and also I use this to kind of have an overview of how much time I had in between exams, because that gets kind of confusing. So for the general look of it, I just kept it really simple. I used a black pen to draw everything and then had the corners rounded, and then I used those same colors from earlier. I used the blues for the headers, and then I used the gray to kind of have a background for the numbers. And then to the side I have my to-do list of monthly to-dos, and then a brain dump where I can write anything that comes to mind. Next up is my line a day and habit trackers. I call it my journal because it's very short form journaling, but basically I just write in a few short words everything that happened that day, or at least everything important. Or when I don't have anything important, it's usually what I ate for dinner. But yeah, I think it's a very fun spread to look back on, so I keep including it in my monthlies. But yeah, I keep using those rounded corners and using the same colors as before, so everything has this cohesive look. I'm doing a lot of flipping over the journal because drawing those rounded corners is actually a lot harder than I thought it would be. I don't know, it's hard to be coordinated like that and have it look good and match the ends. But yeah, I track a few habits. You can see here I just drew the outline of the month and then I fill it in by using dots. That's what I've been doing for a while. For the titles of the boxes, I use a white gel pen and just wrote over the color. In this entire setup, I think I used only about 5 pens. I used 3 markers and then my black pen and my white pen, and I think that's it. So this is really easy if you don't really have a lot of stuff to work with. This kind of shows that you can do a lot with very little supplies. Next up is my mood tracker and memories page. Normally I do something creative with my mood tracker, but I already had the very simplistic vibe going on and I didn't really know anything creative to do with what I had, so I just decided to be quick with it and just do boxes, which actually turned out to take a lot longer than I thought, all those tiny boxes, but I think it looks pretty fine. Next to it is my memories page, and for now that's empty. My last few months that I've done this, I've just put a bunch of photos of the month and I thought it turned out really fun, so I've kept doing it. So right now it doesn't look like much, that there's not much there, but at the end of the month it's something great to look back on. Okay, so these are the weeklies, and I can tell you now I'm really happy with how they turned out and I've used them well. So in this spread I thought that I needed a lot of space, and I did, because I tend to write a whole schedule for myself when I need to study to kind of keep myself accountable. So you can see I left a big space to do that, but having all that space for one day means I need a lot more space to keep a week in one spread. So I decided to take some inspiration from Plant-Based Bride, who uses this I think in all of her weeklies, and she uses a faux Dutch door. So you can see that instead of a normal Dutch door, which would have you cutting the page, you just fold it over and it perfectly fit the entire week. So you have the weekend and then Monday on the first half of the page with my notes section and just a title for June. And then on the other half of the spread, you have the rest of the week, and so you can flip in between the week, and if you fold the Dutch door over, you can still see the notes section. So that's what I used for 2 of my weeklies, and I also use the same blue for the entire week because I realized with the folding Dutch door, it wasn't always clear which week was which and which days belong to each other. So I, instead of doing the kind of switching up every day, I just took the whole week as the same color, so it was more obvious. So my exams lasted for 2.5 weeks. So I had 2 weeks with the faux Dutch door, and then after that I actually had a real Dutch door because my last exam was on a Tuesday. So I had the weekend, and then Monday I had on the first half, and then the other part of the week I had behind the Dutch door, which you'll see later. So you can see that I've kind of sectioned off each day. The first part is where I wrote down my exams, and then the second part is where I wrote down the broad to-dos I had to do. And then, as I said, the biggest part is where I wrote my schedule for the day. I didn't use this for all of the days. Sometimes I left it blank, sometimes I just wrote in general to-dos, but I thought it was very useful to have that kind of freedom, to have your entire day that big. So once again, this is a lot of drawing rounded corners, and by the end of this, I was getting very sick of it, I'll be honest. So here you have me cutting my page. It was very intimidating because this was the first time I've ever done that, but I think it turned out well. I was a little afraid of the Dutch door just sticking upwards, but it ended up lying down pretty well when I had the bookmark of my journal on the right spot. So you can see I have the first half of the week, the weekend and Monday, I have one side, and if you flip that over, you can see the rest of the week. And I really like this layout. I think, especially for exams, I think I'm gonna use this a lot more. So yeah, I'm really happy with how this layout turned out. It was really useful. This was not the reason my exams didn't go so well. My spreads did the best they could, but making good spread isn't gonna suddenly make you know more about what you need to be studying. So for the other 2 weeks, I think it's 2 weeks of June, I just did this really basic, really simple layout. I have horizontal boxes for every day of the week. This doesn't really fit a lot of stuff in there, but these 2 weeks I don't really have much to do, so I don't need that much space. For every one of the boxes, to keep it kind of clear where one box ends and one box starts, I used a light gray marker to just clearly mark the edges of the boxes. So once again, I kept the colors of each week consistent. You can see I kind of flipped them between the week, where one of the weeks has the numbers in dark blue and the header of the day as a lighter blue, and then I flipped that for the other week. Already at the flip through. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, subscribe, leave a comment, and I will see you in my next video, which will probably be July's setup, which is a little weird, but we can get past that. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.